Welcome back to our channel, where we peel back the velvet curtains of Britain's most private institution and show you the whispers, rivalries, and breathtaking moments that the public rarely gets to see. Today, we dive into a story that is shaking the very foundations of Buckingham Palace, a quiet but monumental shift in power that's left Queen Camilla reeling, Princess Catherine triumphing, and young Princess Charlotte stepping onto a stage she was born to inherit. But let's start at the very beginning. Because this story, dramatic as it is, didn't explode overnight. It simmered, slowly, in gilded drawing rooms and shadowy palace corridors. 4 years, power at the heart of the monarchy seemed stable. The late Queen Elizabeth II held it like a golden scepter of iron will, guiding her family with quiet eyes that missed nothing. Even after her passing, many thought the transition would be seamless. Charles, long prepared, finally took the throne. Camilla, by his side, wore the heavy mantle of queen consort with a mixture of triumph and brittle nervousness. After all, she had waited decades to stand there openly. But not all was as secure as it seemed. Because waiting just a few steps behind, smiling politely, offering gracious bows and soft words, were William and Catherine. And behind them, barely peeking from the safety of their mother's side, stood the next generation, George, Charlotte, and Louis. The public adored them. The media, despite centuries of cynicism, couldn't get enough of them. And slowly, inevitably, the balance began to tip. It all erupted recently at what was supposed to be a standard charity event at Kensington Palace. The guest list was prestigious but typical: dignitaries, trusted journalists, senior palace staff, a smattering of well-connected nobles. The setting was one of the palace's most storied rooms, its high ceilings echoing with poetry readings and historical debates from centuries past. Outside, the manicured gardens basked in warm summer sun. Everything seemed perfectly in line with royal tradition. But as William stepped forward, flanked by Catherine, something in the air changed. Observers later said it felt as if the portraits of long-dead monarchs on the walls leaned in to listen. William began by invoking his grandmother, Queen Elizabeth II, recalling her profound sense of duty, her steadfast love for Britain, her promise that the crown must always evolve to survive. His voice was calm, rich with the gravity of memory. Some in the audience dabbed their eyes. But then came the moment no one expected. With a single, measured breath, William announced that Princess Charlotte would begin taking on official royal duties. The words hung in the air like thunder. Even seasoned royal correspondents were momentarily struck silent. A young girl, not yet even a teenager, formally stepping into the machinery of monarchy. It was unprecedented in modern times. And it was a masterstroke. Because while the press instantly ran with charming photos of Charlotte's shy curtsy and Catherine's proud, gentle hand resting on her daughter's back, inside the palace it triggered something else entirely: a quiet panic. Camilla, according to insiders, was blindsided. 4 years, she had worked tirelessly to cement her own position. She'd endured icy receptions, sidelong glances, even outright scorn from staunch monarchists who could never quite forgive her complicated past. Slowly, painstakingly, she had carved out a space for herself beside Charles. Her ambitions didn't stop at her own legacy. She'd long hoped to see her children and grandchildren slip gently into the royal circle. Not with direct claims to the throne, of course, but through honorary titles, subtle ceremonial appearances, a presence close enough to royalty to blur lines. But now, watching Charlotte step forward into the limelight with a grace that seemed to echo both Diana's warmth and Elizabeth's formidable composure, Camilla saw her long-nurtured plans begin to wither. The days that followed were tense inside palace walls. Reports say Camilla summoned a private audience with Charles almost immediately after William's announcement, her voice sharp with urgency. She pressed him to make a clarifying statement, to reaffirm the traditional lines of succession, to gently rebuke the idea of thrusting Charlotte into duties so young. Charles, however, demurred. Friends of the king say he has grown tired, that the strain of both health concerns and the relentless pace of royal life have made him more reflective, more willing to let the next generation shape their own path. He simply told her, "Let it unfold. It's already begun," one longtime courtier revealed. The words crushed Camilla. Those present say she left the room with tight lips, her usual social sparkle replaced by a cold, quiet fury. Meanwhile, Catherine continued her subtle triumph. Because make no mistake, none of this was accidental. Behind Catherine's luminous public image lies a mind both strategic and deeply intuitive. She has long understood how to balance the weight of monarchy with the demands of modern public expectation. Where older royals might have relied on rigid tradition, Catherine wove a story of relatable motherhood, gentle dignity, and service that felt personal, even intimate. Insiders whisper that she was the one who orchestrated Charlotte's early training, quiet sessions with speech coaches, carefully managed charity appearances, private lessons on protocol conducted not by stern tutors but by Catherine herself, turning royal preparation into mother-daughter bonding. By the time Charlotte stood next to William during that fateful speech, she was not just a child at a public event. She was a young royal prepared for her moment, calm under the weight of 1,000 camera lenses. The public adored it. Social media exploded with praise. Opinion polls, already glowing for William and Catherine, surged even higher. Finally, many posts read, "A royal family that feels both noble and human." But this adoration only deepened the cracks beneath Camilla's feet. Sources say she retreated more than usual, holding shorter audiences, excusing herself from certain informal gatherings. Staff noticed her smiles were tighter, her humor brittle. In private, she confided to close friends that she feared her time as the palace's guiding star was ending far sooner than she ever imagined. William, meanwhile, continued forward with quiet momentum. He began holding private dinners with key Commonwealth leaders, discussing not just ceremonial visits but long-term visions for a monarchy that would emphasize charitable impact over hollow spectacle. Catherine, ever his co-architect, maintained warm, personal correspondence with influential figures across Britain, school heads, hospital directors, local charity founders. Together, they were building a future where the monarchy's power came not from grand pronouncements but from hundreds of smaller, heartfelt connections. And Charlotte? Under Catherine's watchful eye, she grew into her new role with astonishing ease. At her first solo engagement, visiting a children's art therapy program, she displayed a gentle attentiveness that instantly won over both the kids and the staff. Later, when asked shyly by a little girl if she was a princess for real, Charlotte smiled and said, "Yes, but today I'm just here to see your paintings." It was a line that charmed millions when the video went viral. Yet behind the sweetness lay a deeper strategy, building a next generation of royals who didn't simply rule from velvet thrones but met people at eye level. Meanwhile, palace insiders report growing divides. Older staff, who once organized elaborate formalities for Charles and Camilla, now found themselves quietly reassigned to help coordinate Catherine's community initiatives or to arrange new digital platforms showcasing Charlotte and George's activities. Even some of the traditionalist courtiers, long suspicious of change, admitted privately that the monarchy's survival might well depend on this very shift. Camilla, sensing the tide, sought unlikely alliances. She approached Princess Anne, hoping the famously no-nonsense royal might share her misgivings about Charlotte's swift rise. And while Anne respected tradition, she also respected competence. Observers noted that after a brief, stiff lunch at Clarence's house, Anne returned to her usual routines, offering Camilla little more than cool sympathy. King Charles, for his part, seemed increasingly reflective, often retreating to private gardens or spending long hours with his personal papers. Some aides believe he sees William's decisive steps not as a threat, but as relief, the reassurance that the monarchy will indeed survive him, reimagined by hands he trusts, even if it pains him to admit his already being gently overshadowed. So where does all this leave the British monarchy? Paradoxically, stronger than ever, but in a form even Queen Victoria might scarcely recognize. Gone is the rigid hierarchy where each move required 5 layers of protocol. In its place is a leaner, more emotionally intelligent institution, one that knows it cannot simply demand loyalty. It must earn it. With every handshake, every school visit, every candid moment of William comforting Charlotte before a crowd, the monarchy rebuilds itself in the image of family first, crown second. And the greatest irony? The very thing that once threatened to destroy the monarchy, emotion, vulnerability, human imperfection, is now the secret to its renewal. Where past generations might have hidden tears behind locked doors, William and Catherine let glimpses through. Where Queen Elizabeth ruled with dignified distance, they rule with warm nearness. And so we wait, breath held, to see what comes next. Will Charlotte's gentle debut truly set a new course that protects the crown for another century? Will Camilla fade gracefully into a quieter role, or will there be more behind-the-scenes efforts to reclaim lost ground? And what of King Charles, watching all this unfold, perhaps with a blend of pride and quiet sorrow? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you see this as a brilliant evolution that will secure the monarchy for generations? Or does it trouble you to see traditional lines so boldly redrawn? Drop your comments below. Your perspective makes this conversation richer. And if you found this deep dive as fascinating as we did, please give this video a thumbs up, subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you never miss another twist in this very human, very royal story. Thank you for spending time with us today. We'll see you soon, right here, for more insights into the lives behind the palace gates.